that daily work, that daily struggle that you do, the work in generating the media that you have about this very dire situation, this very critical situation, not only here to Arizona, but for the whole country, for our brothers and sisters who are living under this kind of racial terror. And I want to just say that it's because of this work that you all have done here at Dona Tierra and around Maricopa and around this very, very dire concern is why I heard about what is happening, the details of the raids and the terror that your communities are facing. So I just want to extend my respect and my regards to those community organizations, because we forget sometimes that it's this kind of work, the daily hard work that you all have taken on, that really does change history in our favor. So please give yourselves an applause and thank you for having me. And I also want to quickly talk about, some of the reasons that I also feel compelled. My grandfather came from Sonora, and he was born in a town called Cananea. And during the Revolutionary War, he was forced to flee, and he came to Califas. His father, mi bisabuelo, passed away very shortly after he arrived in Califas. And my grandfather was subjected to the same kind of humiliation, the same kind of terror in the fields of California. He worked there for 16 years of his life. He was humiliated and treated to the most inhuman kind of treatment. And he had to contend with it his whole life. And so I say this because I really feel there's an attempt now that the system is trying to incorporate people with our history, people like Alberto Gonzalez, in an attempt to incorporate us as Chicanos and turn our backs upon our brothers and sisters arriving here and fighting and defending their rights. I say this because there are Chicanos all over this country who refuse to turn their backs and allow this system to divide us from our brothers and sisters now arriving here. And finally, I just want to say that tomorrow is a very important day, and I want to speak to something that we often don't address, because sometimes this kind of racism, institutionalized and then brought into the state against our people, we often have to contend with a certain kind of oppression, because we are confronted with a daily assaults, with daily provocations against our dignity. And when this happens, we suffer wounds, and we suffer quietly with those wounds. And we often don't realize how those wounds affect us, how those wounds affect our families. And I believe that the only way to really address those wounds and those assaults upon our dignity is to resist. It's the only way. It's the only way to heal, is to resist. So I'm encouraging everyone here to come out to this march tomorrow and realize that we're carrying a lot of voices on our shoulders. The terror campaign that Mr. Arpaio is waging here in Arizona is keeping people in the shadows. They want to speak out. Their voices are the most important, because their voices and their experiences are the most dire. They are the ones that illustrate the policy, not only here in Arizona, but the policy that could potentially wreak havoc upon our communities throughout this country. So tomorrow, no matter what happens, no matter what they throw at us, okay, we know that by speaking out, by addressing the wounds, by confronting the indignity that they are attempting to impose upon us, that we have already won. In many ways, we have already won. But we still got to fight for the objectives. Let's get rid of this guy and let's set this shit straight. Yeah.